Well, hi there, this is Caleb Jones, and this is Alpha Male 2.0, freedom-focused lifestyle design for men. If you have not yet subscribed, be sure to subscribe to this channel. If you're watching this on YouTube, we do 5 videos a week here on how to make both your woman life and your business life more free, because you need both. And if you're watching this on Instagram, you should subscribe there too, because we post videos earlier on Instagram than we do on YouTube. A while back, I made a video on health insurance regarding paying for your own health, regarding the fact that if you rely on some external source like government or an insurance company to pay for your health care, you're going to be very, very unhappy. You should make enough money to pay for your own health care. And there were a number of you who were confused and misunderstood a part of what that video said. And I always operate under the assumption that if someone is confused, if people are confused by something I say or write, that it's my fault. Because everything in my life is my fault, so I assume that was my fault. So I'm here to correct that misunderstanding if possible. So I talked about in that video the concept that if you rely on the government to take care of your health care long term, you are not going to be happy. And the older you get, the more that will be true. You will be much better off if you earn enough money to pay for your own health care. I also mentioned, I think that part most of you understood, but I also mentioned in that video that in the United States, health insurance companies were almost as bad or just as bad as the government, because they are. And a lot of you interpreted that to mean that I am saying you should not buy health insurance. No, you need to have health insurance. To a degree, I'll explain in a second. Yes, you need health insurance, and yes, the insurance companies in the United States are terrible. They're just as bad as the government. As I've mentioned before in prior videos and blog posts, the United States has the worst healthcare system literally in the entire civilized world. It combines the worst aspects of corporatism and socialism and takes the bad parts from both and shoves them into your face. It's horrible. Now, some of you also mentioned that I was talking mostly to Americans in the last video. So in this video, I'm going to address you Americans and you people who live outside of the United States, particularly in places like Canada or Europe, where the health insurance is free. I'll talk about both those things. So first, if you are an American, here's what you need to do. This is exactly what I do. This is exactly what Pink Firefly does. You need to get health insurance, yes, but you want to get into a position where you pay for your own health care costs unless it would be unreasonable for you to afford those costs. What do I mean? That means, and by the way, this is the way health insurance was originally designed to work. When you go to the doctor to get some medicine, when you go to the doctor to look at your eye, when you are sick and you go to the doctor, when you break your arm and need to go to the doctor, you pay for that yourself. You pay for it yourself because, as I said in the prior video, you're going to get a higher quality of care if you decide to pay for these things yourself than if you rely on a big government program. But if something horrible happens in your life, if you have some kind of catastrophic problem, like if you get cancer and suddenly you need care that will require $80,000, or you get in a horrible car accident, now you need surgery that's going to cost $100,000. Obviously, that's not reasonable to expect you to afford that unless you're very wealthy, so you would get a catastrophic healthcare plan to cover those unusual scenarios. So that's what you need to get. You need to get a catastrophic healthcare plan if you're an American. That's step 1. Step 2 is you need to get an HSA. That is called a health savings account. And the way this works, and this is the United States now, I'll cover you non-Americans in a minute, but you Americans, the way this works is you set up a checking account with a debit card that is, in most cases, attached to a catastrophic healthcare plan. You can put $3,500 a year into that. It's like a savings account, really a checking account. You can put $3,500 a year into this checking account, and anything you put into that account is tax deductible. They take it right off your taxes. It's awesome. Then, forevermore, you can use your HSA debit card to pay for healthcare expenses. You can't use it for anything else, just healthcare stuff. So anytime you go to the doctor, the dentist, what have you, you whip out your HSA card and you use that and you pay for it yourself. Every doctor's visit that I go to, I pay for myself out of my HSA. And once a year, and I make a decent income so I can do this. You would probably do this throughout the year in pieces, but once a year, I put $3,500 into that HSA account and I write it off of my taxes. And Pink Firefly does that too, and she writes it off hers. It's awesome. And then whenever I have a healthcare expense, it's in that checking account, I pay for it myself. And I also have a catastrophic healthcare plan. So if something horrible happens to me and I get my arm cut off, the catastrophic healthcare plan kicks in and covers the big expenses. That's how you want to do it. Pay for healthcare yourself, but only insure those things that are catastrophic problems that, frankly, if you're young, if you're under the age of about 50, are very unlikely to happen anyway. Cool? Cool. Now, you guys who live outside of the United States, you guys who live in Europe or Canada, where healthcare is provided for you, it's the same overall concept I said earlier. You need to get your income to the point where you can go pay for your own healthcare if your stupid, bankrupt, corrupt government can't afford it or won't cover it. I know numerous people, and I'm sure you know them too if you live in Canada or Europe, who wanted to get certain procedures done, have the government pay for it, and the government refused. Or the government says you got to wait 6 months or a year or whatever, and they want to get it done sooner, so they had to fly to the United States or do what they call medical tourism, fly to Southeast Asia and get the procedures done by paying for it themselves. You have that option if you make enough money to cover these things yourself. So you need to get to the point, you non-Americans need to get to the point where if you want the little stuff covered by your government, the little doctor's visits and what have you, that's fine. But if you have something that is not little but not major and you want the option of paying for it yourself, you have that option because you make enough money to do it. Just sitting around, regardless if you're European, Canadian, or American, just sitting around saying, my government will take care of it, is a terrible long-term plan. It is horrible. And I realize for you younger guys, that may not really resonate with you because you're healthy right now. When you're older, when you get into your 40s, 50s, certainly 60s or 70s, trust me, you're going to want money beyond what your stupid, bullshit, corrupt, bankrupt government is going to cover for you, assuming they're still covering it by the time you get that old. That's a whole different discussion. So that's what you should do. That's the model you should follow. If you need more help with this kind of thing, we talk about these topics in the SMIC program. Join SMIC.com. I will see you very soon. Bye.